What we'll have you do first, Jenna, is just run down a quick roll call to confirm that the people that we see actually have working audio and be able to verify our quorum.
Brown. Dillenberg.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Kemery. Moeller or Meller.
Yes.
Sorry.
Roller's
Heiko.
right.
Here.
Taylor. Yang. And Yaruso.
Uruso's here.
And our council member liaison, council member Atlas Ingebretson is also here, or Linnea.
All right, got you, Atlas Ingebretson.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. Okay, so with that, we'll call ourselves to order and approval of our agenda. As far as I know, we're good to go with the agenda as it is. So we'll just take a moment to see if anyone else has any changes to that. Otherwise, we can move on kind of by consensus vote on that. Anyone have anything you need to suggest as changes to our agenda? Okay, hearing none, agenda can be considered approved. Then we have approval of our minutes from May 6th, 2021. These we will take a motion and second and do a roll call vote on whenever someone's ready to start that.
This is Jeremy Peichel, so moved.
Motion by Jeremy, do we have a second?
I'll second. This is Cecily Harris.
Thank you, Cecily. Are there any corrections or discussion on our minutes? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. Jenna, you can call another roll call for these. This is voting on our minutes from May, our May meeting.
Brown.
Aye.
Dillenberg.
Aye.
Harris.
Aye.
Kemery. Moeller.
Yes, aye.
Heiko.
Jeremy votes aye.
Taylor. Yang. Yaruso.
Aye. Okay,
Aye.
so what was that last one that came in a little late there?
Me, Kenna.
Kenna Yang is here, Jenna. Welcome, Kenna.
All right, so minutes are approved. We'll move on to public invitation. We've been taking these by email as we meet remotely. I don't believe I've received any. I'm going to take another quick look at my inbox here. No, it does not look like I have this month. So with that, we can move on to our business item for the day, which is a Gale Farm Special Recreation Feature Park Acquisition Opportunity Fund grant proposal for Three Rivers Park District. And we have Jessica Lee presenting. Go ahead, Jessica.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair, Commissioners, and Council Member. This is Jessica Lee, Senior Park Planner for the Council, and I'm here to present business item 2021-126, Gale Woods Farm Special Recreation Feature Park Acquisition Opportunity Fund, the Olson property for Three Rivers Park District. Next slide, please. Gale Woods Farm Special Recreation Feature is located in the western part of Hennepin County in Minnetrista. Our regional park system has 8 special recreation features, which are defined as regional opportunities not generally found in the regional parks, park reserves, or trail corridors. They must provide a natural resource-based and scenic setting that offers a compelling sense of place and provide a unique outdoor recreation experience. Next slide, please. Gale Woods Farm is indeed a unique, one-of-a-kind regional natural resources and outdoor recreation opportunity. Gale Woods offers visitors the chance to see a real working farm up close. The farm operates a community-supported agricultural program and works closely with community partners to engage youth in sustainable agriculture, food production, animal care, and creating connections to nature. The park is a beautiful mix of pastures and gardens and is managed for both food production and high-quality natural resources habitat. This 400-acre farm was, excuse me? Oh, I thought I heard someone, sorry. This 400-acre farm was gifted to Three Rivers Park District 20 years ago, and it is a true regional park system treasure. Next slide, please. A boundary adjustment was approved a couple months ago to add the subject property outlined here in red. This parcel will add approximately 28 acres of high-quality natural resources to the park. It is heavily wooded with small pockets of wetlands and lies adjacent to the Dakota Rail Regional Trail. There are no structures on the property, so stewardship costs are minimal. Next slide, please. The land was appraised at $595,000, and the landowner has agreed to that amount. The total acquisition cost is $612,500. The grant amount of $459,375 will be funded through the Parks and Trails Legacy Fund acquisition account. There's currently a $600,000 balance in the fiscal year 2021 legacy account and a few thousand from previous fiscal years. This grant will use primarily fiscal 21 legacy as well as some of those previous year's funds. Three Rivers will provide the required 25% local match. Next slide, please. Our rationale for recommendation is that this acquisition is consistent with the 2040 Regional Parks Policy Plan, the Parks and Trails Legacy Fund appropriation requirements. They'll get Gilberts Farm's Special Recreation Feature Master Plan, and Three Rivers Park District is within its $1.7 million per fiscal year limit for the Parks and Trails Legacy Fund Park Acquisition Opportunity Fund. Next slide, please. Our recommendation today is to approve a grant of up to $459,375 to Three Rivers Park District to acquire the vacant rural residential 27.87-acre Olson property adjacent to Gilberts Farm, just west of Woodridge Road in Minnetrista, for Gilberts Farm Special Recreation Feature, and to authorize the Community Development Director to execute the grant agreement and restrictive covenant on behalf of the Council. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take questions. And Kelly Grissman from Three Rivers Park District is also available for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I had talked to Emmett briefly about this, just to make sure we know kind of the status of our funds. Since it wasn't in our business item, I was wondering if we could just get entered into the minutes what the current balance is of that fund and what it would be if we approve this grant. We can run some quick math.
And Chair, would you like, I have the exact numbers if you'd like.
That'd probably be good, yeah.
We have a total of $663,000 in legacy, which includes some of the previous year's funds.
Okay.
And so this grant would use $459,000.
Okay.
So I believe that's $203,000.
Sure. And then, yeah, you could just send the exact figure to Jenna to record.
Great,
but
thank you.
that's close enough for our discussion. I see Jeremy, you have a hand raised.
Yeah, I just remember when I was a new commissioner, and if we could have a brief overview of PAOF and acquisition funds and what our role as the commission is, just to help with those newer commissioners who maybe don't even know what questions to ask yet.
Excellent. Who wants to grab that? Is Jessica or Emmett, or should I try?
I'm happy to try.
Go for it.
So the Park Acquisition Opportunity Fund program has been around for about 20 years. We have a mix of funding from the Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund and the Parks and Trails Legacy Fund. And those funds are matched with council funds. And so in the last few years, we've had approximately between maybe 2 and 3 million a year available for this program. It is a first come, first served basis. So agencies let us know when they have an acquisition coming up. They submit an application. Once their application is complete, which includes an appraisal on the property, they are placed in line for funding. And if we have funding available, we will bring it forward to the council.
Chair and Commissioners, this is Emmett Mullen. Thank you, Jessica, for providing that overview. If people would like us to bring an information item or something forward that would provide a little bit more history and information on the Park Acquisition Opportunity Fund program, we're happy to do that too. I just wanted to, because I think Jeremy's point is well taken. The Park Acquisition Opportunity Fund program is a critical program for the region and the regional park implementing agencies and the council. This is a program that secures land into perpetuity, so forever. So capturing parks and trails throughout the region. And so it's a really important program. Tony, or our chair, Yaruso, wants to know the balances. That's a great question. Jessica provided the information on the legacy funds. We don't have any open appropriations for the Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund right now. We have 2 requests that are currently in the budget deals that are being discussed by the legislature right now as they hopefully enter special session sometime in the next few weeks. But I just wanted to provide a little bit more. I should have stopped at my first question is if you wanted an additional, like a simple information item that we could bring it, we'd be happy to do that about this program or any of our programs.
With the small balance left, do we expect to get another authorization from this year's legislative action? I wasn't sure, Emmett, that I understood exactly what you said there. Here's
Jessica, please backstop my response. But commissioners, first of all, we have 2 requests. One with the Legislative Citizen Commission on Minnesota Resources, people call it LCCMR, and that's the Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund, and that is generated through, when you buy a lottery ticket, the proceeds of that go to this fund. And it was set aside for sort of environmental projects, but we have 2 appropriations being recommended through that process. One for $2.25 million, and then one from last session for $1 million. So that's super exciting. We need to pass, and it's been hung up for a couple of years now. Also, Bob, the Parks and Trails Legacy funding is in the current budget negotiations, and that's for fiscal years 22 and 23. So it's complicated, but the state fiscal year starts July 1, 2021. So we're hoping that they come with a fresh appropriation for legacy, which will then generate another about, is it $4 million, Jessica, approximately? Okay. Does that help?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Emmett, I have a follow-up question. So being that it's already June, do these funds roll over? Or do you lose them if you don't use them by the end of the fiscal year?
Great question. The legacy funds will, whenever the legislature comes to their sort of comprehensive agreement, those funds will be released. Hopefully that will be before a state shutdown occurs on July 1. So that is okay. The Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund have specific rules. And the 2020 recommendations, we could ask Commissioner Peichel this because he's a commissioner now, but he's a legislative citizen for Minnesota Resources. I didn't mean to joke about that, but he's a commissioner here and there. But their 2020 recommendations, if it is not passed by July 1st, 2021, that last year's recommendation will revert back to the corpus. So it's about $60 million worth of projects, of which we have $1 million, and we lose that. So great question, Cecily.
Wow.
Fair
And then I
Commissioners, this is Nicole. I just wanted to add one little bit on that, Cecily, to your question. For the funds that we currently have in our account, they're available for multiple years. So they're not going to expire at the end of the fiscal year. So that like $200,000 balance, we still have time to use that.
well, that's good to know. And I have an unrelated question. I'm looking at the two figures in our report here, and I'm curious whether there's access now or there will be to the Dakota Rail Trail. Or do you have to come in from Wood Edge Road, or I think that's the road at the top?
I believe there will be access, Commissioners, but I will ask Kelly to confirm that for me.
Yes, Kelly, you can
This
go
is
ahead.
Kelly Grisman. Oh, thank you. I'm actually going to turn it over to Heather Kuika. She's been handling this acquisition. I'm sorry, Jessica. And she's on the call. Her name just doesn't pop up. Heather, do you want to chime in?
Hi, Commissioners and Chair. If I don't know if you can bring up the map again, but the Dakota Rail already is adjacent to that property. So you can access the property through Dakota Rail Regional Trail as it runs alongside of, you can see it right there in the picture.
Right, but I couldn't tell if there was a trail or anything else from the Dakota Rail Trail into Gale Woods. I see a lot of woods.
Just this is council member Atlas and Breton. Yes, there's access via trail into Gale Woods from the bike trail. On a separate trail.
Okay, so not necessarily planned for this parcel, but there's a connection.
Right, so a trail wouldn't necessarily run through the property, it just runs alongside of the property where the Dakota Rail already is, and you can park at Gale Woods, or you can park at another lot in Mound to connect to it and bike.
Okay, I think what the question was getting at is if you were, say, arriving by bicycle and you were on the Dakota Rail Trail, would you be able to then go visit Gale Woods from there easily? It sounds
Or
like
driving
yes,
by foot. I don't bicycle.
for that.
Yes, you can get to Dakota, you can get to Gale Woods via Dakota Rail Regional Trail.
Okay. Other questions people may have? Or if anyone wants to move a staff recommendation or similar.
I would move the recommendation. This is Bob Moore.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second the recommendation. This is Dillenburg.
Thank you. This may be a question to Nicole. I had floated it to Emmett and we weren't sure of the answer. Our proposed action currently just says approve a grant of up to $459,375. Should that action state a grant out of which particular fund and appropriation?
Chair Commissioners, I would say it doesn't need to designate the fiscal year necessarily. That is outlined in the grant agreement. But the business item, if I'm not mistaken, does identify that it's to be funded with legacy funds.
The item does, but the motion currently does not. So that's the question, is whether we should have words in the motion to say that it's coming out of the legacy fund.
I guess maybe I would defer to Emmett. I think it probably wouldn't be a bad idea because that is the sole fund source for this particular acquisition.
Okay.
And thank you, Tony, for the question, and Nicole. I like the idea of including Parks and Trails Legacy Fund in the action because the Legacy Fund is critical to the support of our system, and being very transparent that this is being used is good, even though I know that it is clearly in the business item. So I just want to be clear about that, but not including the fiscal year because of earlier comments by Jessica that there's multiple fiscal years often involved in these. Because when people sometimes complete their acquisition, there's like small amounts that are returned to the fund that we can then reprogram in the future. So sometimes we have small amounts of a scattering of fiscal years. So it would be helpful to not report that. It's
Okay.
more complexity than we need.
That seems like it's probably a good idea. So then I will make a motion to amend the motion to, let's see, after the words approve a grant, add from the Parks and Trails Legacy Fund. And I think I can probably just leave it at that.
As the maker of the motion, I would accept that.
Okay.
I'll second that.
So I think with our virtual thing, we actually will still have to go through a roll call on that, which is annoying, but oh well.
Yes.
Chair, even with a friendly amendment, is that the case?
I think so. Unless you have other things that say otherwise. I've been attempting to Google that on the side here and not coming up with anything, so I think we'll just go ahead with it. We have a second by Canna. Is there any discussion on my amendment to the motion? Okay, hearing none, then we'll have Jenna go ahead and call through the vote on that.
Brown,
Aye.
Dillenberg,
Aye.
Harris,
Aye.
Kemery,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Hakel,
Aye.
Taylor, Yang,
Aye.
and Yaruso.
Aye. Okay, so that motion carries. Thank you. Are there further discussion or amendments on that motion? Okay. Hearing none, then we will go to a vote on the motion as amended. Go ahead again then, Jenna.
Brown,
Aye.
Dillenberg,
Aye.
Harris,
Aye.
Kemery,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Hakel,
Aye.
Taylor, Yang,
Aye.
Yaruso.
Aye. Okay, so that carries as well. Thank you. So that business item is approved. Thank you, Jessica. And then that will bring us on to our, what we're calling an information item this month. This is sort of our, we don't know where to put it in our structure. Our equity nudge, talking about establishing shared space for equity resources. And sounds like we have Amanda Lovelee, possibly others.
Thanks,
Go ahead,
Tony.
Amanda.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, Council Member. So tonight I'm going to share with you the Met Council uses Teams, Microsoft Teams, and they've just in the last month made it available for us to invite people outside of the councils, people without council emails, to be able to participate with Teams. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully it's all going to work great. And I'm going to show you the team site that we've created as a space for us to be able to post articles and conversations. So one moment. Okay. All right. Everyone can see my screen. So as you can see here on the left, I'm so cool. I'm on so many teams. That is a joke. But here is the MPOSC Equity Conversation team. And so when you click on it, you're going to get an invite tomorrow morning. And so when you click on it, you'll be able to see this and it'll say, welcome to the team. You can kind of scroll down. There'll be a little welcome message. You can see that Emmett has nicely responded to my welcome message. And then you can begin to share your own things. So I populated a few things to kind of show you what it looked like. So you can write a little bit about it, post a link. Here's a really great webinar that I listened to. And then you can also reply. So if someone watches this and has a comment, you can reply. Others can reply to that, kind of like here, how Emmett wrote, I could reply to him. I could give him a thanks, Emmett. But you can give thumbs up, things like that. I also posted the, our Commissioner Anthony Taylor was part of a conversation with Asha Schaffner, who is the outreach coordinator for St. Paul Parks, with Angela Davis last Friday. So if you missed that, you can click right here and listen to it. And also, again, write comments. Emmett posted the Minnesota Outdoor Recreation Task Force. So you can, again, click here, learn a bit more about that. But most importantly, down here is a button that said new conversations. And so if there's something that you've read or seen or heard, or you know that there's going to be a conversation on PR or a webinar coming up, you can also click here and you too can add to this. And that's what we're hoping, is that, again, this becomes your space to share things. We also have the ability to add files. So up here you can add a file by clicking there. I'm going to hit stop sharing so that I can see all of your lovely faces again. And if anyone has needs help with technology, please by all means feel free to reach out to me or Emmett, and I can work with you to kind of walk you through this. This is just a test. If this isn't the right platform, if this doesn't feel like the right fit for MPOSC, by all means we can easily dismantle our team and try a new approach. But we thought, since this is a tool supplied by the council, that we'd give it a shot. But I do want to let you all know that also that anything we write on there is public information. Just like if you sent an email or sent Emmett an email, that's public information. So it won't be shared with in the council in this case, just for the Parks team for MPOSC, but that it is public information. So to keep that in mind. I think that's all I had to share. Do you guys have questions, thoughts, concerns, hopes, dreams? Any? We're really excited to get something started for you.
Amanda, I have a question.
Yeah.
So we will get an invite to the group, or I have to, find teams? No? Oh, great.
No, I will send an invite tomorrow morning. I'll send an email, and to the email that you use for your council correspondence. So whatever email that might be, that you get emails from Emmett already, will be the email that I will use to send an invite tomorrow. And if for some reason that doesn't work, please let us know and we'll figure out. Maybe it's junk.
Sure I do. Although my mom usually say that the problem with technology usually rests between the chair and the keyboard, so I'm guessing it's gonna be me. But yes, I'll let you know if I can figure it out. Thank you.
Don't worry, Monica. You can totally blame it on me if it's not working. I will accept that.
Sounds good.
Monica, I will just add to what Amanda said. She belongs to a lot of teams, so that looked kind of intimidating when you were looking at it. You folks belong to one team, so it will say MPOSC Equity Conversations, and that's what you're going to click, and that'll open the door. And at this point, it's scrollable, so there's probably 6 or so posts, but we really look forward to seeing if this is useful to you. And as Amanda said, if it's not, tell us and we'll figure out another venue or another medium. And then, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm glad you say that because I saw all the conversation and I was, man, I didn't took a screenshot of this, so I'm gonna get lost there. But okay, so one I can follow for sure. Yes.
One should be pretty easy, Monica. But the other thing I was going to say is, I wanted to highlight what Amanda said about the Angela Davis conversation with Anthony Taylor. and Asha Schofner. It was excellent, and it could have been part of an MPOSC meeting about barriers to getting outdoors. And so I would just really encourage you to check that out. Also, the Outdoor Recreation Task Force recommendation, our very own council member, Linnea Atlas-Ingebrigtsen, was part of that group. They worked months to put that recommendation together, and it is worth a read. So check it out.
Sounds right. I'll check it out. Thanks.
Councilmember, your hand up.
Hey, thanks. I know it always takes me a second to lower my hand. I'll do it afterwards.
No worries.
But thanks for this. And I think one of the things I just encourage the group to do is, use this tool, and then just, Emmett, I think what you just did to give that kind of summary about like what was something great about what you heard. It doesn't mean you have to share the full story of what's happening, but I also want to encourage people who using that kind of tool may not be the right thing for you. And so it might be, shooting an email to staff to let them know, hey, would this be a good thing to share? Or even just during this time popping up with something that came up for you as you were hearing and or talking about this. And so I just hope that people don't allow a tool or a process to prevent you from sharing an idea as it relates to what you're seeing. And in the spirit of that, I'm so glad you shared about Asha and Anthony. I haven't had a chance to share with folks about the outdoor recreation task force experience and big things. So thanks for sharing that too, Emmett. If it's of interest, and folks take a look and want to hear more about the process and the intended hope or outcome of that task force and what's next, I'd be happy to share that at a future meeting. What I will share from a perspective of the equity nudge is that it was a group of statewide of predominantly male group, and for many of them talking about diversity and equity in context of the parks was a first time conversation. And so when you take a look at the outcome and to see how center it is in the recommendations, one, know that that was for, I would say 80% of the participants, a new conversation for them. And two, it wasn't necessarily received well everywhere. And so it was a surprise. And so both the members of the committee had to deal with the impacts of that surprise amongst people that they knew who had also never had those kinds of conversations before. So it may not seem like the most radical language, but or even that crazy for our conversations here at MPOSC in particular. But what was clear in the conversations we had with people across the nation, and we heard this from folks in a previous meeting, the work that we're doing and the influence of what we're doing and what it's having here on the Parks and Trails Legacy Advisory Committee as well, is setting up equity in the parks in a way that's not being done anywhere else in the country, to our knowledge. And that's significant, but it's also, when you're on the front edge of something, you're on the front edge. That means you're the one getting hitting things first. So I encourage people to take a look, share your thoughts and ideas about it, and happy to chat more about it in the future. Thanks.
Thank you. Those are great comments. And yes, if this technology doesn't work for you, you can always share in the chat. You can always send things to me and Emmett first and ask us to post it if you don't feel comfortable being the one posting something. Great reminders.
I also see a hand up from Jeremy here.
Thanks, Chair. I want to just acknowledge the shattering of the worldview that Linnea was talking about. That sounds like it would be both exciting and very scary to interact with that, especially when you're using relatively conservative, politically oriented and sensitive language. But if there's an entrenched worldview, it can be painful to unseat that. The other thing I was thinking about when you said, Amanda, that this was going to be public, and thinking about the open meeting law and some of the things I've been watching with the legislative session, I'm nervous, I guess would be the way to put it, about whether the public can access these conversation threads on demand. Like we have this meeting available for people to view passively, not edit or comment directly, or if it's something they would have to file a request to receive those data. What is your thought on that, and how is the council addressing the concerns about government and sunshine?
Yeah, so, and I can share, maybe I'll post that in the links too. We can share given information about how the council talks about it. And from what I understood from reading it, and I can ask Emmett too, is that it was upon request, similar to like email. Like if they want to request my emails and you and me have been emailing Jeremy, then that would be public. But I don't think it's something, it's not posted somewhere where someone could peruse through it. It would have to be upon request.
Thank you, Amanda and Jeremy. I'll just add that that's how I understand it. I also wanted to say this is very much in the training enrichment column for the commission. And so we had, Amanda worked with our computer support folks to try to create this channel, because up until last month, this was only a resource that was inwardly focused at the council, but now we can start sharing it with our advisory group. So this was created really for training, education, information sharing, not business.
Chair Uriso? What I was going to say is that I happened to hear that Angela Davis show, or a portion of it, and I was so impressed by Tony's bearing and comments, and how it reflected a lot of our discussions here in MPOSC. I thought it could have been one of our own meetings in terms of what he had to say and how he was helping encourage more broad participation in our parks. And I was very proud of him and proud of the message and proud of the work, frankly, that we do. And Linnea, thank you for your kind words about what we're doing and for your part in that.
Thank you, Bob. And Linnea and Anthony.
Chair Russo, this is Todd Kimmery.
Yes, Todd.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'd like to piggyback off of Linnea's comments at the beginning of this train of thought. As a person that's been involved with an organization that talks civil rights for the last 18 years, and that's with ADA, words like equity and diversity and I found that Minnesota is very progressive and front edge on a lot of discussions on change for equality. But that means there are other parts of the country that have yet to catch up with even simple concepts. My point here is not to be discouraged by that, because as you encounter that, most of the time, or I would say the majority of the time, it's not personal when you hear that ignorance and comments of confusion and resistance and pushback. It is important at those times that you're clear with your message and push past what I like to call the background noise from the peanut gallery, and get your message out. And your enthusiasm and that's a wrong word, your belief and your dedication to what you stand up for will carry you through. It is difficult at times to let somebody that has a comment that is really obnoxious go, but primarily I find just counting to 10 and letting that go, and making sure that my message is well received and is accurate, and the rest comes. That's it, Chair.
Thank you, Todd. Does anybody know? I think there's some just web versions of this. What's the accessibility of the team site when you're not on a Windows platform?
Actually, I can talk about that because my home computer is a Mac, and
Perfect.
yesterday my PC was having some issues. I spent the day working on my Mac, and it works great. I don't have it downloaded on my Mac. I mean, I sign in through the internet, which is another thing. You guys don't have to download Teams onto your computer. You can just log in. But I've had no issues using it on my Mac.
Okay, so just through a web browser.
Yep, and also on my iPhone as well. It works.
As I say, I have an Android phone where I use it for work, for my business, and it works great there too.
Yep, and on an iPhone it works great.
Okay, cool. Any other questions or comments on that? Right, well, I think we'll look forward to seeing more details on how we get connected and check it out.
Thank you.
Great. So that brings us on to our reports. One thing I will mention for mine is that there is going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony for some new facilities at Cottage Grove Ravine Regional Park in Washington County. We saw some grants before, or I guess this might have been in our capital improvement project stuff about some of the things they were redeveloping around the landing area for some buildings and fishing facilities and things like that. So that is going to be on Tuesday morning, this coming June 8th, 10 to 11 a.m. at Cottage Grove Ravine. Anyone wishes to go to that. It's in the middle of the day, but if anyone's available, those of you who are retired. I believe that's the only thing I particularly have. I know some other things will be talked about by Emmett for sure. So I'll go to other commissioner reports.
This is Todd Kemery.
Yes, Todd.
I've been in recent contact with Dakota County, which is part of my responsibility. And we're going to be starting up our monthly meetings that we had pre-COVID. And I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but Steve Sullivan is not there anymore, so they have somebody new. I'm going to meet that person and then continue on with my conversations we used to have before all of this. So that'll be coming up later this month, and I'll have other reports for you as we go on through the summertime. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other commissioners? Okay, staff, what do you have for us? I think there's a bit of a list.
I have 3 action-packed reports for you today, Chair Uruso. The first one is just recognition that I think many of you know, but the Regional Park System Equity Grant Program recommendations, they are moving forward. Unfortunately, due to a tight turnaround time and a need to reach out to agencies to clarify a few eligibility questions, we delayed the recommendations until the July 1 Parks and Open Space Commission meeting. So thank you for your patience with this recommendation. It's a really good recommendation. And again, thank you, Jeremy, Todd, and Cecily for your participation with this process. Were there questions about the equity grant program? My second is just very quickly, we've already touched on this, but the legislative session ended this year without passage of the critical budget bills. They are continuing to work on that. They are working to avoid a state shutdown. We have a lot in play. So this includes the Parks and Trails Legacy Funds for the fiscal year 2022 and 2023 recommendation. The operation and maintenance funding, it's about $15 million for the park agencies for operation and maintenance costs. As I told you, there's two acquisition appropriations with the Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund dollars. And the park agencies have something that's not in the governor's recommendation around a bonding bill. It's a $7.5 million request. We remain hopeful that a special session will be called prior to the July 1, 2021 deadline. July 1 seemed far away a while ago, but it is somewhat looming today on June 3rd. So keep your fingers crossed. And then finally, Amanda mentioned that we are hosting a Bedote tour. This is a sacred sites tour on Friday, September 17th from 8:30 to 2:30 p.m. 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. We originally had it set up where we all take a bus together per the current COVID guidelines. This will be a tour where everyone will drive to it, and we'll meet first at Fort Snelling State Park, and then we will travel to, I think it's Indian Mounds Regional Park in St. Paul. But those two sites are going to be stops. You can, I don't know if people know this, but if you're an MPOS commissioner and you're using your car, we pay mileage and reimbursement. And we really hope that commissioners are interested and able to attend this. Council member Atlas Gilberts, and you are of course invited and welcome to attend. And it's going to be it's a meaningful tour. Tracy Kinney's digging into one of Bob's suggestions last month that we explore making available a public Twin Cities public television program, which I forgot the name of, Bob. But we think we're going to be able to offer that to folks in the coming weeks, where you can watch it on your own time, and it will set up a really good discussion and a deeper Bedote tour experience. So that's all I have. Commissioners, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. Thank you.
Okay.
Emmett, this is Bob. The program is entitled The Untold Stories.
Great. Thank you. The Untold Stories. And I did see it when it ran on Twin Cities Public Television, and it was excellent. And the person in the program is the person who's actually leading the Bedote tours, and also one of Bob's friends who was involved in this deep conversation about place.
Okay. Any other questions for Emmett's reports? Linnea, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all the folks who sat on the Equity Grants Committee work. I wanted to just say a little bit more. We had also some of our park agency staff, or not our staff, but staff from park agencies who participated and our community members. And it was a really different process than what we've done in the past. And we ended, I think, at least 30 minutes early, maybe even earlier. So I just want to acknowledge the work of staff and all of those on the committee and present to really acknowledge a really big feat for us. I know we will celebrate it later, but this is the first non-capital investments that we're making to advance equity in our parks. Man, for folks like Tony and Anthony and Bob, and that have been on the committee for for a while. This is something that you all have been talking about for so long. I wanted to make sure we fully recognize that aspect of the work, and also recognize that each time we do this, we're getting better and stronger. And I hope that we can capture what we're learning from the process, not just for institutional knowledge, but also to share with other agencies about how it can look and what you can do. And because I think that's the other part of leading on equity, is not just to stop when you get something done, but is to help spread the word and help share with others how and what can happen, so that it can be done in other places. So I just wanted to say it was a real pleasure to be a part of that, and it felt like a real win. Some of the things I've done have kept me back when we were in person, in the Robert Street office till midnight even. So it's a big change in just the 2 years I've been with the council. So I just wanted to share a shout out to those who've laid the path for this work, even if you weren't on the committee, and for those who were on the committee for the work that they did in helping us to get that done, and the staff in their leadership and partnership in the work. Thanks.
Thank you, Linnea. That is very exciting, and seeing those projects actually happen in the next couple years here is going to be pretty rewarding for a lot of us.
Chair, is there a list of those awards? Who got them and what the projects were?
I believe that's what they were just saying we're going to see at our July meeting.
Okay.
So yeah, they're working out a couple extra little details, but we will get a business item for that.
That's great.
Okay, well, with that, I think we are ready to adjourn. And speaking of meetings ending early, I don't know that I remember the last time MPOS adjourned before 5. Thank you, everybody.
I cannot either. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Jenna.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, commissioners.
Thank you,
Bye.
Jenna, too.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.